A teenage girl stands in court, insisting she stabbed her former best friend in self-defense.
I would be living with this guilt the rest of my life. I took a life and I understand the victim's family will suffer for the rest of their lives.
She says she backed away. She was scared, and she only pulled a knife because she thought she had no other choice. But prosecutors have something that challenges every word she's saying. Surveillance video from the parking lot and a set of text messages she sent days before the stabbing. Those two pieces of evidence turn a simple claim of self-defense into a case the judge calls a tragic act that could not be ignored. This incident didn't start that night. It was the final snap in a broken friendship. To understand why it happened, you have to understand who they were. Brianna Berrezzini grew up in Westerville, Ohio, living what appeared to be a stable suburban routine. She had a clean record, good grades, and was enrolled in college while working part-time. Nothing in her background suggested volatility or violence. To people who knew her, she was disciplined, focused on school, and not someone who sought out physical confrontations. Halia Culbertson, on the other hand, was known for her outgoing personality. She was social, energetic, and deeply connected to her family. She had struggled in the past with addiction, but was actively in recovery and supported closely by her grandparents. Her ability to make friends easily made her well-liked, and she carried a strong sense of pride, especially in her progress towards sobriety. But the most critical part of their history is that they weren't strangers. They were former best friends. Their friendship fell apart months before the incident, and what had once been closeness turned into hostility. By early 2023, their relationship had deteriorated into a tense, unstable dynamic. The chain of events began calmly on the night of March 26th. Brianna left home with a friend around 8:45 p.m. Around 11:30 p.m., they decided to stop at 161 Carryout, a smoke shop they had visited many times before. For them, it was a routine stop. What Brianna didn't know was that Halia Culbertson and her friends were already inside the store. The moment Brianna walked in, she recognized the familiar voices of the two girls who she claimed "don't like me." Inside the store, words were exchanged. Brianna called Halia a cokehead, a direct attack on Halia's history with addiction, something she had worked hard to overcome. For Halia, it was a humiliating and deeply personal insult. A store employee intervened, removing Halia and her group from the shop to prevent a fight. But once outside, Halia didn't leave. She waited near the entrance, fully preparing for Brianna to walk out. At 11:48 p.m., Brianna exited the store carrying drinks in her hands. Surveillance footage showed she was not preparing for a fight, but Halia moved toward her at full speed. Witnesses described Halia as visibly angry, shouting and advancing without hesitation. Brianna immediately began stepping backward, trying to create distance. This retreat wasn't a single step, it was continuous. The video later revealed she moved back more than 30 steps as Halia kept closing in around them. Friends in Halia's group shouted encouragement, repeatedly pushing her to crunch Brianna, urging her to finish the fight. Despite Brianna's attempts to separate herself, Halia pushed forward, striking and shoving as the confrontation grew more physical. At some point during the retreat, Brianna's hand reached into her pocket, pulling out a small work knife she had carried earlier that evening. She continued moving backwards even after the knife was visible. Witnesses later said Halia saw the knife but did not stop. In a moment that lasted only a fraction of a second, Brianna swung the knife. The blade entered the upper chest area just below Halia's clavicle, severing critical blood vessels. Neither girl understood the severity of what had just happened.
Hey, get off my sister, bro! Get off my sister! Hey, if you touch my sister, girl, I'm gonna have to put my phone down, bro. Halia, crunch your ass to get it over with, bro. Crunch your ass to get it over with, Halia. Yeah, crunch your ass, Halia. Crunch your ass, Halia. Crunch your ass, Halia. Crunch your ass, Halia. Fuck her up.
What's up, bitch?
You better get your girl before she get fucked up even more.
They continued to struggle until they separated. Brianna moved toward her car, shaken. Halia walked back toward the silver Jeep where her group was waiting, believing the fight was over. It was one of her friends who noticed first. Blood began appearing on Halia's chest, pooling rapidly. Her brother rushed to her side, pulling off his shirt to try and stop the bleeding. But the blade had cut into a vital artery, making the blood loss impossible to control. At 11:48 p.m., a 911 call went out. Emergency responders transported Halia to Ohio Health Riverside Medical Center.
Just get back, boss. Just get back. I know you're my little sister. I know. I need you to stay back, all right? Hey, you gotta let them do their work, okay? Come on, guys. Let's get back. Let's get back. Come on. Come on. I understand. Let's get back. Okay, I'm gonna get your information. Did you see it?
Yes, we
saw it. Who saw it happen?
Me, him,
Okay.
the red hoodie.
Okay, in the red hoodie?
Yes.
All right, I need you to get in the cruiser for me, okay? I'm gonna have to get you off your phone, all right?
It's my mom.
I understand that, but I need you.
Okay?
I need you to get in the cruiser, okay?
But despite intensive efforts, she could not be revived. At 12:24 a.m. on March 27, 2023, she was pronounced dead. Back at the scene, witnesses pointed to Brianna Berrezzini, who had already left.
Got into a fight, and as Halia walked to the front door of the Jeep, I saw she had a gash on her. She got in the car and she goes.
Within a short time, she was located at home and placed under arrest. When officers arrived, they found she had already showered and put her clothes from the fight into the washing machine. During interrogation, Brianna stated repeatedly that she had acted in self-defense.
And she's walking up, and I keep telling her, I'm not fighting you, back up. I said, you're not worth it. I keep telling her to back up, and I get my knife out in my hand. She was pushing me. Well, before that, yeah, I was trying to push her away from me, and then she dragged me by my hair on the ground, and there was just blood in my eyes. I couldn't see anything. Blood out of my eyes. I had no idea what was going on. I was just in shock at that point.
She told investigators she backed away over and only pulled the knife because she was afraid. But during this questioning, detectives delivered the news. Halia had died. The case was no longer about a fight. It was now a homicide. Brianna was charged with murder, which in Ohio carries the possibility of life in prison. As investigators continued examining the case, two critical pieces of evidence began shifting the legal narrative. The first was Brianna's choice to shower and wash her clothing immediately after the stabbing. Prosecutors argued this reflected a consciousness of guilt rather than fear or confusion. The second, and most damaging, was a set of text messages Brianna had sent approximately 1 week before the incident. In these messages, she wrote that she would slice Halia if she came near her again. These texts revealed not only hostility, but a willingness to use a weapon. Prosecutors argued that these messages contradicted the idea of a spontaneous, fear-driven reaction. The defense, however, relied on the surveillance footage showing Brianna stepping back over 40 steps. They cited Ohio's Stand Your Ground law, emphasizing she had no legal duty to retreat. On June 10, 2024, Judge Mark Serrett ruled that the threatening text messages would be admitted as evidence. This was a critical blow to the defense. The risk of a jury seeing Brianna's written threats and convicting her of murder was too significant to ignore. Rather than proceed to trial, Brianna accepted a plea deal. The murder charge was dropped, and she pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter.
You show up, behave yourself, have a decent pre-sentence investigation, I'm likely to do what has been said.
Now facing up to 3 years in prison plus parole, the judge said she could be let out early if she does have good behavior. Baranzini will be sentenced on July 11th.
This charge recognized a reckless act rather than a deliberate intent to kill. Carrying a maximum sentence of 3 years, on July 11th, 2024, Brianna returned for sentencing. The prosecution urged the court to impose the maximum sentence, arguing that Brianna's decision to introduce a weapon turned a fistfight into a deadly encounter. The defense argued she acted out of fear and panic, pointing again to her repeated retreat. Judge Serrett acknowledged the situation was complicated and that Halia had been the aggressor. However, he emphasized that once Brianna made the choice to use a knife, the nature of the encounter changed. He stated plainly that probation would not be appropriate. Brianna Baranzini was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The sentence closed a long and deeply painful chapter for both families. One grieving a permanent loss, the other watching a teenage girl begin a prison term for a confrontation that started with words and ended in tragedy.